Hello, my name is John Tucker. I am the Chancellor of Southern States University. I have been here since 2009, so a number of years now. I come from the University of California system, where I worked for many years and at 3 campuses, at the University of California, San Francisco, Santa Barbara, and most recently at UCLA. I came to Southern States University in 2009. The year after that, we became accredited. We have been adding programs and supporting the academics since then. So I'd like to focus today for students who are on F1 student visas studying here in the United States on an F1 student visa. There are many rules and regulations regarding F1, and they are tracked by something called a DSO, a designated school official. In addition to being chancellor, I am a designated school official. There is at least one at every campus. Some campuses have 2. And the designated school official is someone who has authorization to go into the database for the Department of Homeland Security. It's known as SEVIS. And we track everything about every student according to their SEVIS ID number. The whole purpose of having SEVIS is so that we know where are our students and what are they doing. In order to be active in SEVIS, the DSO at the beginning of every academic session, that's the beginning of every quarter, within the first 30 days, the DSO has to go in SEVIS and register every student. Registering means that the student has registered for a full course of study. For the bachelor's program, that means a minimum of 3 classes. For the master's programs, that's a minimum of 2 classes. Only one of those classes can be online. The remainder have to be on site. So the DSO attests to the fact that you are registered for a full course of study and that you have shown up and you are attending class within that first 30 days. In that case, we register you for the entire 10-week quarter. If something happens and you ever need to stop studying and return home on an emergency basis, if something unforeseen comes up, that's possible. You should always stay in touch with your DSO, let them know what's happening, and we'll work it out. There is always a way for you to leave and go home on an emergency basis, but it has to be something unforeseen. If you are an F1 student, you're not allowed to take an annual break, an annual vacation, until you've been here for 1 academic year. In the United States, an academic year is defined as 2 semesters or 3 quarters. SSU operates on the quarter system, so you need to have completed 3 academic quarters before you are eligible to take a 1-quarter break. In the MBA program, you only get 1 break per program. So it's a 2-year program. You're allowed a 1-quarter break after the first academic year. You don't have to take a break, but if you want to, most students do, they take a 1-quarter break sometime after they've completed 1 academic year. In bachelor's programs, you get 1-quarter break per year. The program is 4 years, so in between every year, you're allowed a 1-quarter break. Again, you don't have to take a break, but you're allowed to. For all F1 students, there is nothing more important to maintain your status than attendance. You are expected to attend 100% of your classes. If something happens and you have to miss a class, you should always be in touch with the instructor of the class, our classes, to let them know that you were not able to attend and the reasons why. If you get sick, if you need to leave the class early, just make sure that your instructor knows about that. And you have to make up the material that you missed. At SSU, our classes meet only once a week. for 4 hours. So if you miss a class, you've missed an entire week's worth of course content. In no case can you ever miss more than 4 classes in a quarter. A quarter is 10 weeks long. If you ever miss more than 4 classes, you automatically get an F. You are no longer pursuing a full course of study, and we are required to terminate your SEVIS record. That means you're all done. You have to leave the United States within 15 days. So again, there is nothing more important than attendance. The second most important thing is satisfactory academic progress. You need to maintain your grades at a minimum level. In the graduate program, you need a minimum cumulative grade point average, a GPA of 3.0 on a 4-point scale. If you go below 3.0, you're going to be on academic probation. If you don't get out of academic probation in 2 quarters, the DSO is required to terminate your SEVIS record, and you have to depart the United States. In the bachelor's program, you need a minimum grade point average of 2.0. And if something happens and it goes below 2.0, you have 2 quarters to get your grades up above 2.0. If you don't, then the DSO is required to terminate your SEVIS record and you must depart the US. We don't want that to happen. So be sure, whatever campus you're attending, to stay in touch with your DSO and your academic advisor. Your academic advisor will advise you, give you advice on how to maintain a full course of study, see how your grades are doing. Are they getting too low? Should you be worried? How to get help? So again, the 2 people to stay in regular contact with are your academic advisor and your designated school official, your DSO. In the United States, if you are a student on an F1 visa, you are not allowed to work except in 2 instances. After 1 academic year, you are eligible to apply for a program called CPT, Curricular Practical Training. You need to have completed 1 academic year, be in good academic standing. That means your grade point average above 2.0 in the BBA program, above 3.0 in the MBA program. And you can work with your DSO and also career services. And if you find a position that is integrally related to the curriculum that you're studying, and you want to be able to apply what you're learning from the classroom in the workplace and vice versa, you can apply for CPT and work for up to 20 hours a week when classes are in session, or 40 hours a week during breaks when classes are not in session. You cannot work more than 20 hours. Your top priority of being in the United States is to be a student. It is not to work. If you were looking to work, you have the wrong kind of visa. You need a work visa. Students don't have work visas, they have student visas. Your top priority is being a student. So again, to legally work, one of 2 ways is to apply for CPT after 1 academic year. Stay in touch with your DSO and your academic advisor if that is of interest to you. Another very popular program for international students at SSU and all over the United States is when you complete your program. That means you've finished all of your coursework and you've done all of your classes, you have graduated, and your GPA is above the minimum. You can apply for a program called OPT, Optional Practical Training. That allows you to work after you've finished your studies for up to 1 year, full-time, 40 hours a week, in a job that is directly related to your course of study. So in the business programs, you can work in the business field in a position that is appropriate and directly related to your field of study. Work with your academic advisor and your DSO on looking at a job offer letter, see what the duties are. You can make an appointment if you're interested in applying for OPT. You're eligible to apply 90 days before your program end date. So if you're supposed to finish school at the end of fall quarter, right before Christmas, count back 90 days from the end of the term, make an appointment with the DSO. There is a consultation fee, like most other schools. We will help you prepare your application. We do not approve it. OPT is approved only by the Department of Homeland Security through an agency called USCIS. You apply directly to USCIS, and it takes them about 90 days to review your application and give you a decision. Not everybody is approved. One thing that they look at very closely when you apply for OPT is your grades and your attendance. It is very likely you'll be asked for the attendance in every class you ever had here as an international student. Once again, there is nothing more important than attendance when you are here on a student visa. If you are approved for OPT, you'll get a card in the mail called an EAD card, an Employment Authorization Card. It will have a date range when you can start working and when you finish working, usually 1 year. And you can work anywhere in the United States, any of the 50 states you're allowed to work. It doesn't have to be here in California, but it does have to be directly related to your course of study. You have to, once you get a job, you have to report within 90 days to your DSO. Give us a job offer letter. We have to certify that it's directly related to your course of study, and we enter that information in SEVIS. If you change jobs or split it between two jobs, we need to enter all of that information in SEVIS. So again, it's very important to stay in touch with your DSO even after you graduate if you are on OPT. On the other program, CPT, the DSO has the authority to approve that. It is not approved by USCIS. The DSO can approve it locally. But we need to certify that all the conditions are met before you receive work authorization. In no case, ever, for any reason, can you work in the United States without work authorization that is noted in SEVIS. If you do work, we are legally required to terminate your SEVIS record. You have to depart the United States immediately. You're not even allowed to apply for reinstatement. You are done. Do not work without work authorization. There are several ways to get work authorization. So make sure that you satisfy all the requirements, all the rules and regulations. Whenever you have questions about your status, your F1 student visa status, just stop by or call, make an appointment with your DSO. We'll be happy to log in and see your record. We can look at it together on the computer screen, make sure everything looks good. Also, anytime you leave the United States, even if you are close to Mexico like we are here in San Diego and Newport Beach, even if you just go to dinner in Mexico, stop by with your DSO, make sure that you have all the signatures required on your Form I-20. In order for you to leave the United States and be readmitted, your I-20 needs to be signed by the DSO within the past year. If it's 1 day over a year, you're not going to be readmitted to the United States. They're going to turn you away at the border. We don't want that to happen. So anytime you leave the U.S., just stop by with the DSO and make sure everything looks good in SEVIS. You got all the signatures, so we don't want you to have any problems at all. Again, during your course of study, even if you haven't been here for a year yet, If something unexpected comes up, you have a family emergency, maybe a health issue, and you need to return to your home country, please know that you can always do that, but you need to be in communication with your DSO and your academic advisor so that we can put in the proper procedures in SEVIS so that when you return to the US, you're not going to have any problems. Again, in the event of emergency, you can be authorized to leave for up to 5 months. You can be back in your home country for up to 5 months, not 5 months and 1 day. 5 months is the maximum. But you could go back home for 5 months, come back into the United States and resume your studies with no problem at all. So don't feel like you're trapped here. Okay, again, welcome to SSU. We're glad to have you here. Any international students who are here studying, please, anytime you have any questions about your status, just make an appointment, stop by and see your DSO. We're more than happy to speak with you and to stay in touch with you. Welcome to SSU.